Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to discuss Manny MUA's August 22nd video titled My Reality Check. This video is part of my Dramageddon series, so if you haven't seen my previous 4 videos pertaining to the matter, I will link them all in the description box below. I have also created a Dramageddon 2018 playlist, which I will continue to update as I add to this series, but without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off, I have a couple of updates from my previous video. If you recall, I mentioned a few subtweets from Thomas Halbert, and I indicated that I had it on good authority that they were about Manny. Now, back on July 10th, Thomas tweeted, "I can't believe that someone I looked up to almost my entire career was someone who was trying to stop my bag since 2015. Woo, the insecurity jumped out. That's why nobody in this community likes you, and I thought I was crazy. Y'all, there's so much I want to say. Stopping my bag in everyone's ear, telling them I'm crazy and not to fuck with me, making me feel like a loser and like I'm worthless. Your reign of tyranny is over, sweetie, because it didn't work, and that's why you're pretending to fuck with me. Beauty gurus are literal crackheads. Insecure, hateful ass crackheads. Y'all, it's a wolf in sheep's clothing, that's all I'ma say." Fast forward to August 22nd. Now, I read these out in part 4, but just so you don't have to refer back, Thomas subtweets, "Yes, there was an influencer in 2015 who made everyone in the industry hate me and not work with me. Yes, they were someone I looked up and idolized, and yes, I did plan to get revenge on them. Maybe I'll film a video one day, I don't know, lol. This shit put me in a horrible depression and had me trying to OD in 2016. I've never felt so unwanted and hated by people ever. These people were constantly suddenly in my mentions this year when I've gained a tiny sliver of popularity on YouTube. Also because I had dirt." Now obviously these tweets relate to his July 10th tweets. Following my previous video going live, one of my followers sent me this screenshot that I had missed from Thomas's August 22nd tweets, as obviously Thomas deleted it within seconds, but T says, "Was your tweet about someone coming for your bag about Manny?" Thomas replies, "Yes." Now, I don't know a whole lot about that situation. I've spoken to Thomas very briefly about it, but I don't have Manny's side to the story. I know Thomas has decided to deal with the matter privately, and I respect that. Next update is with respect to Stephanie Lange's video. I could not believe how many people totally glossed over the fact that she said, and I reiterated in my video, that the influencer who I named Jane is not well known today. She was considered to be huge 5 years ago, therefore it is not Jaclyn Hill, Kathleen Lights, or Katie, or any current major influencer. I don't know who she is, but in a comment on Manny's July 20th Instagram post, Celeste XXO wrote, "I know you were talking about him, sis," at Stephanie Lange, referring to the social climbing influencer Stephanie spoke of in her video. Stephanie replied to Celeste with this emoji, so it is confirmed that she was in fact talking about Manny. Okay, so let's get into Manny's video. I'm sure most of you have seen it by now, but I'll leave the link in the description box below for those interested. He starts off by saying that this is a video he should have made a lot earlier. As we know, this is his second video post-incident. In the first video, he addressed a situation wherein he was caught making a face behind someone's back who attended at his meet and greet with Jeffree Star in 2017. He also addressed and apologized for an insensitive snap where he commented about his Uber driver not being able to speak English. Anyway, in this video, he references the fact that Gabriel Zamora had uploaded his video titled My Truth the night prior. Manny goes on to apologize to Gabby, although it appears to be a blanket apology because it's not entirely clear what he's actually apologizing for.
And first and foremost, before I even get into the video, I want to apologize to Gabby, because watching that video, I can see the hurt in his eyes, and I understand where he's coming from 100%, and looking back, I would change things if I could.
So Manny is very vague here, and that was likely his strategy going into this video, but I'd like to know what he's referring to when he says, quote, "Looking back, I would change things if I could," end quote. What specifically did you do that you would change? Are you referring to the way you directed Gabby to handle the situation? Are you referring to the way you responded to tweets throwing Gabby under the bus? Or are you simply referring to the way you treated him overall? What is it that you would change? In my opinion, if you're gonna sit up there and say that you would change things if you could, you have to actually acknowledge what it is you'd change. To me, that is part of holding yourself accountable for your mistakes. Manny goes on to say that once he realized what he had done, he texted and voice memoed Gabby right away. He even showed up at his house to rectify the situation that he admits he fucked up in.
You know, Gabby said, Manny showed up at my house wanting to talk. It's true. I did. I texted Gabby asking how he was. Once I realized what I had done as a person, as a friend to him. I texted him right away. I called him. I voice memoed him. I drove to his house. I tried my best to rectify a situation that I fucked up in. And I know that. I fucked up.
Again, what did you do? To me, this is a roundabout apology, meaning sure, he's apologizing to Gabby and admitting that he did wrong by him, but he's not going to address what he actually did to warrant the apology. Isn't acknowledging the role you played in this situation part of holding yourself accountable? In my opinion, it looks as though this was more of a PR move than a genuine apology. You know, make it look as though you're apologizing without actually incriminating yourself. That is PR 101. Manny went on to say that the reason why he hadn't apologized for Gabby's tweeted photo at the time of his video was because he was being prideful. He didn't feel like he should have to apologize for something he wasn't a part of. He later realized that he was in fact part of it, being that he was in the photo and liked the tweet.
The fact that I was part of it in any way, shape, or form is what I needed to own up to. I wasn't allowing myself to own up to it because I was being so fucking prideful. And I was like, no, I didn't post this. I didn't know it was being posted. That's not fair. Why should I apologize? You know, I didn't do anything wrong. I have no qualms with Jeffree. I let Jeffree live his life and live it happily. If I would have known that photo was going to be used for what it was used for, I would have never done it. I would have never posed for that photo because I don't want to come across negative and do these things. That's not what I wanted. I didn't want Jeffree to get hurt. I didn't want him to feel bullied in any way, shape, or form. That's not what I wanted.
Now, at the end of that clip, you heard Manny say that he has no qualms with Jeffree. Now, he obviously meant qualms, but correct me if I'm wrong, saying you have no qualms with someone translates to you basically having no issue or problem with that person, correct? If so, he definitely has issues with Jeffree and vice versa. They were best friends at one point, and there's definitely a lot of tension and unresolved issues there. That is very clear. Do I believe that Manny would have posed like that if he knew the photo was going to be used in the context it was and posted publicly? No. The key word being publicly, though. Of course Manny wouldn't want to come across negative publicly. Do I believe that Manny doesn't talk about Jeffree behind his back? Of course not. And I think this is exactly what Gabby was pointing out in his video when he said,
yeah, I may have started this, but let's not act like you don't feel like this.
With that said, I'm sure Jeffree also talks about Manny behind his back. I'm not excusing what Manny did, I'm just saying let's call a spade here. Moving on to Manny's pattern with respect to his friendships. While he could have touched on the subject without dragging names into it, he refers to his friendship with Pleasant Star.
Gabby was talking about a pattern that I have with my friendships, you know, and he's talking about two friendships specifically, and he's talking about Pleasant Star, and he's talking about Jeffree Star, and he's talking about himself, of course, as well. And that's what it is. I have had bad track records with other friends of mine. In private, yes, but they were still bad track records in itself. You know, talking about Patrick, for example. Patrick introduced me to the beauty world. He was the one that really got me into it. He's the one that inspired me. I have looks on my Instagram still to this day that were inspired by Patrick. You know, Patrick is someone who I was so inspired by, and we became friends, and we grew together, and we learned from one another, and we were so close. We were so close. But just like friendships that happen every day of our lives, we had miscommunications, we had missteps. I hurt him. At the end of the day, friendship is a two-way street.
If you noticed, after Manny said, I hurt him, there was a jump cut there. What I think Manny originally said was, I hurt him, he hurt me. I could be wrong, but I'm sure he was told to cut that out by his PR team because PR 101, Rule 55, you don't make reference to anyone else's wrongdoings when you're trying to redeem yourself without actually owning up to what you did. Anyway, Manny goes on to explain that friendship is a two-way street and that he was also internally hurting, and due to the fact that he's terrible with communication and conveying his emotions to his friends because he wants his friends to like him, he would rather push them away than have a confrontation with them.
This situation that's happened has really brought it to light to me that is what I've done. Patrick was hurt by something I did, you know, by our friendship and what happened between us. And for that, I am sorry. I'm sorry to Patrick. And if I could go back in time and help mend my relationship with Patrick, you know, have us go through our dark times, I would do everything differently. I would be a better communicator. I would tell him things that were affecting me and were hurting me, and I would open up and not just internalize them and have a fucking meltdown in my mind. I would talk about things and talk about my emotions and my feelings, because in turn, me thinking that walking away would save the friendship in turn destroyed it and destroyed all my relationships in that way. You know, not owning up to my bullshit, that hurts people.
So Manny implies that he realizes that he hurt Patrick and basically pushed him away to avoid confrontation. That's at least what I made of his explanation. Whether that's true or not, I have no idea. I have not spoken to Manny or Patrick in regards to their friendship.
So now regarding Jeffree, this is a big topic. This is something that people have been asking me and asking him for so long to talk about, as to why we are no longer friends, why we are no longer close, what's going on between us, what's the tea, what's going on. There were things mutually done to one another that hurt the other, you know, and the fact that we didn't communicate that to each other better is truly where I feel like our downfall was our lack of communication. And the fact that we were not able to communicate to each other how we were truly feeling.
Okay, so now he dives into his friendship with Jeffree and once again blames a lack of communication for the breakdown in their relationship. Now, if we're keeping it 100, let's keep it 100. Using lack of communication in response to a major public ordeal has directed by my PR team written all over it. In addition, Manny saying that the reason for their downfall was that they didn't communicate their feelings to one another basically translates to him speaking for Jeffree, which is inappropriate in my opinion, because I can almost guarantee that Jeffree wouldn't agree with that statement, which would only make Manny look worse in this situation. Now, having said that, I realize that Manny's hands are probably tied with respect to what he's willing to disclose about his friendship with Jeffree, because quite honestly, I think they both have dirt on each other, and I don't think Manny wants to open up that can of worms. Therefore, the best response in this particular case is the PR standard being a breakdown in communication. Later on in the video, he talks about the fact that he hasn't reached out to Jeffree or Patrick yet because he doesn't want to come off as disingenuous, but that he did reach out to Gabby.
I have reached out to Gabriel and he shut me out, and that's okay because he's hurt by something that I've done, and I understand that, and I take full fucking responsibility for what I did to him and hurting him by liking tweets, by responding to things. You know, that I can't even explain how mad at myself I am about this, because that's the last thing I want. I don't want to lose a fucking friend. I don't want to lose another friend. That's the last thing I wanted, you know, which is why I was trying so hard to mend it and fix things. But I understand if Gabby does not want to fix things. I understand that is him. That is his truth. And if he's happier without me in his life, then so be it. And so be it.
Finally, at almost 12 minutes into the video, we have somewhat of an admission as to what he actually did to hurt Gabby. Personally, taking quote-unquote full responsibility for your actions towards your friend at 12 minutes into a 25-minute video, when you addressed Gabby at the outset of your video, is not holding yourself accountable. That would have been included in your opening statement. Your opening statement should have been the most important component to this apology, and it fell flat. Manny makes reference to Patrick once again later on in the video.
With Patrick, for example, I just saw him at VidCon recently, and it was a great experience. We took photos together, and it was great. We just talked and just sat and chilled, you know? And that's what I want. You know, we might not be best friends, we might not be close anymore, but the fact that we actually have a working relationship now, and we're able to see each other and be genuinely happy when we see each other, that is what I wanted, and that's what we have.
Now, I don't know if this is part of Manny's communication and or confrontation issues, but obviously things are not okay between him and Patrick. As mentioned in my previous video, after Gabby's video, Patrick was liking a lot of really unfavorable tweets about Manny. I'll put them up again if you want to pause the video to read through them, but it does not appear as though their relationship is as Manny says. I know Patrick likes to keep shit professional, and maybe Manny interprets professionalism as a good working relationship. I don't know, but it's clear Patrick feels a certain type of way with all the tweets he's liked and or made during the course of this ordeal. Anyway, another huge issue is the fact that some people felt as though Manny owed Jeffree an apology. Some believed he should apologize for the tweet and how it came off as bullying Jeffree, and some expected a full-on apology in regards to their friendship. First of all, we do not know what happened in their friendship. I personally believe that if Manny wanted to apologize to Jeffree in regards to anything that occurred during the course of their friendship, he should do that privately. Do I think Manny should have apologized to Jeffree for the tweet? Yes, and right away. Not days later, nip it in the bud and move on. Manny addresses the reason for not apologizing to Jeffree in this clip.
And with Jeffree, the reason I didn't apologize or talk about it sooner was because I really, in my bones, felt I did nothing wrong. I did not post this photo. I did not know this photo was being posted. You know, I liked it, unliked it, and my pride got in the way. And I didn't reach out to Jeffree, and I didn't talk to him, you know, and that's what happened. You know, we might not be as close as we once were, but he is living his life happily, and I'm living my life happily. And that's all I want.
As he said, his pride got in the way, but yet still no apology, and this really infuriated viewers because once again, he's dancing around the issue, explaining his reason for not apologizing sooner and still does not issue an apology. Anyway, Manny does go on to admit that he was a shitty friend to Gabby, Jeffree, and Patrick.
I do not wish any ill will on Jeffree or Patrick or Gabriel. I don't. I want them to be happy. I want them to be happy. You know, even though I was a shitty fucking friend to them. You know, maybe that's why I want them to be so happy, is because because of my own shortcomings as a person and as a human being to them. Because I wasn't there for them. And I was a shitty friend.
Personally, I think he should have stopped there, but again, he went on to blame communication issues, which I have a really hard time believing is the reason for the demise of 3 friendships.
You know, looking back at everything, communication is everything, you guys. It is everything. When I tell you that communication is the most important thing, it truly is. You need to be able to communicate and evoke your emotion, or else you will not be able to flourish in relationships. And I really feel like that was a big downfall in all 3 of my friendships with Gabby, Jeffree, and Patrick. I wasn't able to convey how I felt. And that's a big reason why it ended, and why I slid back, and why I took a step back from the situation. I was like, no, I would rather, you know, step away than confront them and tell them how I'm feeling.
Where was the communication issue with Gabby? We saw that play out publicly. Manny even said he texted Gabby and sent him a voice note to rectify the situation. That's communication. He even went so far as to show up at Gabby's house. How can you claim to have issues with confrontation if you're showing up at his house to confront him? There was no communication or confrontation issue here. You threw your friend under the bus and Gabby told his truth. That was the issue, period. I personally don't think this video did Manny any favors whatsoever. It came off as forced and disingenuous, and honestly, in the beginning especially, he came off as angry and irritated, which I interpreted to be in reaction to Gabby's video and not in relation to his own actions. Another thing that I noticed, and I could be totally off here, but my understanding is that Manny was close with Joey Graceffa and Daniel Prada. He was in Joey's Escape the Night series, and they were often seen hanging out together on Snapchat, so I was a little surprised to see this. I went to Joey's likes on Twitter, and he had liked a photo of T-Spill's thumbnail of her video titled, "Is Manny MUA a Social Climber?" The caption of the tweet was, "Yes, fake ass." Also, just after this whole thing broke, Joey tweeted, "When you find out what you were feeling was true and not in your head." Joey has since unliked the tweet, calling Manny a fake ass, and he's also deleted his tweet. Now, if you recall, on May 31st, Daniel Prada tweeted this: "Unpopular opinion, your YouTube fave is actually a wolf in sheep's clothing, and you'll probably never realize you're supporting a true monster." At the time, people thought he was referring to Jeffree or James Charles, but now in combination with Joey's tweet and like, I'm wondering wondering if he was actually referring to Manny. Approximately a month and a half later, Thomas tweeted the same thing, and his tweet was in fact about Manny. Now, of course, following Manny's apology, everyone waited to hear what Jeffree had to say about it. He responded by quote tweeting someone else's thoughts, adding, "This sums up my thoughts on his apology. Now please stop asking about it. I'm busy being happy, LOL." Anyway, in closing, Manny explained that he feels like he's lost himself along the way, getting swept up in LA and the views and likes, and that he's gonna take some time to focus on himself, and I totally understand that. However, in order to change, I personally believe that you have to be honest with yourself, and I hope that he is. I hope that he does take this time and this experience to reflect on himself and his shortcomings. That is it for this video, you guys. It was a highly requested video. Let me know how you feel about Manny's video and whether you think it's possible for him to make a comeback. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at HereForTheT2, and I'll talk to you again soon in my next video. Bye!